it's almost exam time, and that means...
It's time for Maths with Mr. Thomas.
Now we have mastered everything to do with multiplying out brackets here in Chapter 9, we can now answer some past paper questions to see if we can do them. So, let's jump away back to 2019. Boing, 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 boing. This question from the paper 1 said... What does paper 1 mean? Paper 1 means it's non-calculator. It says expand and simplify x plus 5 bracket 2x squared take away 7x take away 3. How would you go about doing that? Well, I like to think about rainbows. Me too, yeah. If you just draw a wee rainbow in, what it's showing is that you would take the term that's in the first bracket, the first term, and you're multiplying it by absolutely everything in the second bracket. So you would do the x times by the 2x squared, then the x times the negative 7x, and then the x times by the negative 3. So if you do that, drawing a wee rainbow, x times 2x squared gives you 2x cubed. X times negative 7x gives you negative 7x squared. X times the negative 3 gives you negative 3x. What would you do after that? Do more rainbows. Good. From the 5. Good. So you would do the 5 times by the 2x squared, and the 5 times the negative 7x, and the 5 times the negative 3. So doing that, 5 times 2x squared is 10x squared. 5 times negative 7x, well, that's a positive, that's a negative, so it'll be negative 35x. And 5 times negative 3, again, positive and negative, will give us negative 15. Once you've done that, what do you do next? Well, don't you just gather your like terms? You do indeed, yeah. So x cubed, you've just got 2x cubed, there's no other x cubed. X squared, you've got a negative 7x squared and plus 10x squared. So negative 7 plus 10 is positive 3. So that's how many x squareds we would have. Or you could think 10 take away 7 gives you 3 x squared. With the x is negative 3 and then take away 35. What's negative 3 take away 35? Well, we're going further down into the negatives. So you'd be down at negative 38. You would, so you'd have negative 38. And numbers! So any terms with an x is just this take away 15 or negative 15. And there's no other numbers to add or subtract to that. So you would just stay as negative 15. Woo! Oh, that was easy. But let's try another one. Okay, so here's one from 2018. Again, it's a paper 1, so it's a non-calculator question. We have 3x plus 1 bracket x take away 1, close bracket, plus 2 bracket x squared take away 5. So, first thing you want to do is, because you've got double brackets, think about your wee rainbows. So, you do the 3x times by the x, and then 3x times negative 1, then the 1 times the x, and 1 times negative 1. So doing that to begin with, 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 1, positive times a negative is a negative, and 3x times by 1 is just 3x. Plus 1 times by x is just plus 1x, and plus 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. We have still not finished with that line though, because we still have this bit here. We've still got 2 bracket x squared take away 5. So, to do that, you just do the 2 times by everything in the brackets. So do the 2 times the x squared and the 2 times the negative 5. Good. So positive 2 times the positive x squared gives us positive 2x squared. And positive 2 times negative 5. Positive times negative is a negative. And 2 times 5 is 10. Yeah! After that, gather your like terms. So with the x squared, 3x squared add 2x squared. 3 add 2 is 5, so that's how many x squareds. With the x's, we've got negative 3x add x. So negative 3 add 1x. Negative 3 add 1 is negative 2. That's how many x's we would have. And number-wise, we've got negative 1 take away 10. What's negative 1 take away 10? Negative 11. It is indeed, yes, that would be your answer. Here's another one from 2017, paper 1, expand and simplify. 2x plus 3 bracket x squared take away 4x plus 1. Once again, because it's double brackets, think about rainbows. So, drawing a wee rainbow, do the 2x times by the x squared, and the 2x times the negative 4x, and the 2x times by the 1. So, 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. 2x times negative 4x is negative 8x squared, and 2x times by the plus 1 is 2x. Once you've done that, Good. You take the second term in that first bracket and do the 3 times everything. So do the 3 times the x squared, do the 3 times the negative 4x, and do the 3 times the 1. So 3 times x squared is plus 3x squared. 3 times negative 4x is negative 12x. And 3 times 1 is 3. Gather your like terms. So with the x cubed, you've only got 2x cubed. X squared, negative 8x squared, add 3x squared. Negative 8 add 3 is negative 5. Good, so you'd have negative 5x squared. X's, you've got a 2x take away 12x. So 2 take away 12 is negative 10. Good, so you'd have negative 10x. And number-wise, well, the 3 is just on its own. There's no other numbers on their own to add or subtract. So it's just plus 3. That would stay. Yeah! Fourth example from 2015. Again, paper 1, a non-calculator question. Double brackets. When it's double brackets, rainbows. So do the x times by the x squared, then the x times the x, and the x times negative 2. So x times x squared is x cubed. Good. X times x. Good. Plus x squared. And x times negative 2 is a negative 2x. Brilliant. Once you've done that, you would do the negative 4 times everything. So negative 4 times x squared, negative 4 times x, and negative 4 times negative 2. So negative 4 times x squared. Good. Negative 4x squared. Negative 4 times positive x. Well, positive times negative is a negative, and 4 times x is just 4x. And negative 4 times negative 2, negative 4 times negative 2, 2 negatives make a positive, and it'll be positive 8. After that, with the x cubed, you've only got that 1x cubed, so that would stay as it is. X squared, you've got 1x squared take away 4x squared. 1 take away 4 is negative 3, so negative 3x squared. Negative 2x take away 4x. Negative 2 take away 4 is negative 6. So you'd have negative 6x. And number-wise, you've just got the plus 8. No other numbers to add or subtract. Woo! Fifth example from 2023. This time we've got x plus 7 all squared plus 6 bracket x squared take away 10. And we're asked to expand and simplify that. Oh, can I do this one? Sure. Off you go. What would you have, Joseph?
Well, the x add 7 all squared means x plus 7 times x plus 7.
It does indeed, yeah. X plus 7 squared means x plus 7 times by the x plus 7. So I'm just going to write it like that. And to do that, you would use
rainbows, because it's double brackets.
So x times x, and then x times 7. And then the 7 times x, and the 7 times the 7. So first term in the first bracket times everything in the second. X times x is x squared. X times 7 is plus 7x. Then moving on to the second term in the first bracket and times that by everything in the second. So 7 times x is plus 7x, and 7 times 7 is plus 49. We've still got the other brackets though. We've still got 6 bracket x squared take away 10. So then we would have the 6 times by the x squared and the 6 times the negative 10. So 6 times x squared is plus 6x squared, and 6 times negative 10 is negative 60. What do you do after that, Bethany? Yeah, well done. Gather your like terms. So we've got x squareds, x's, and numbers. So with the x squareds, we've got 1x squared adds 6x squared, which is 7x squared. 7x adds 7x. There's no other x's, so 7x adds 7x is 14x. And number-wise, we've got a 49 and a take away 60. What's 49 take away 60? Negative 11! It is indeed, yes. Well done. You're doing well with this. Sixth example from 2022. This was in paper 2, although it can be done without a calculator. 3x times by the 2x squared, 3x times the 5x, and 3x times the negative 1 is how you want to start this. And then you would do the negative 2 times everything as well. There are plenty of these questions in the past papers. This is what the fourth example like this. So for this, 3x times 2x squared is 6x cubed. 3x times 5x is plus 15x squared. And 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. Now doing negative 2 times everything. Negative 2 times 2x squared is negative 4x squared. Negative 2 times 5x, positive and a negative, so it'll be negative 10x. And negative 2 times negative 1, 2 negatives make a positive, so it'll be plus 2. From there, with the x cubed, you've only got 6x cubed. X squared, you've got 15x squared. Take away 4x squared. 15 take away 4 is 11, so it's 11x squared. X's, you've got negative 3x take away 10x. Negative 3 take away 10 is negative 13 because you're going further down into the negatives. And number-wise, you've got the 2. It's just going to stay as plus 2. Woo! And final example is from the 2024 paper. This time you've got the x plus 1 bracket x squared, take away 4x plus 5. Roundbars! Do the x times everything in that second bracket. And then do the plus 1 times everything in that second bracket. So if you do that, x times x squared is plus x cubed. X times negative 4x is negative 4x squared. X times 5 is plus 5x. Then the 1 times everything, 1 times x squared is just x squared. 1 times negative 4x is negative 4x. And 1 times 5 is 5. What would you do after that? Gather your like terms. You would gather the like terms. Good. So with the x cubed, you've only got x cubed. X squared, negative 4x squared, add 1x squared. What's negative 4 add 1? Good. It's negative 3x squared. 5x take away 4x. 5 take 4 is 1, so it's 1x. Or just plus x. And number-wise, you've got the 5 on its own. There's no other numbers to add or subtract. So that is your answer. That is the past paper questions. You will notice that you have 2 terms in one bracket and 3 terms in another. Pops up an awful lot, so check that you can do them. Check that you can do the other ones as well. Also, go back and try some of the practice papers and some of the other past papers that there's been since this video, or some of the ones that I missed out. If you want any more practice in multiplying out brackets, there's an exercise in the TJ book. The page 19, remember, you might want to look at that. Or if you look at some of these pages in the MrThomasMaths book, they're also excellent. But hopefully by now you can multiply out the brackets and simplify.
I can!
Well done, high five. Woo! Good luck for the exam.